So how do you find hope when it feels like everything is just falling apart, when the chaos seems to be winning? Today, we're going to get right to the heart of that question with a single story. It's about one person's day, a day so completely disastrous it would test anyone's faith, and the pretty profound truth he found right in the middle of it all.
Okay, so let me tell you about this. The story is about a friend of mine, a pastor up in northern Pennsylvania. He was gearing up for Christmas Eve. I mean, this is basically the Super Bowl for a pastor, right? The most important night of the year. But his day, well, it turned into an absolute cascade of things going wrong.
It all started Christmas Eve morning. He walks into the church and it is bone-chillingly cold. And why? Because the boiler had completely given up overnight, so no heat for any of the services. Great start.
And then, just when you think, okay, we can deal with that, the phone rings. It's the family, the entire family, that was organizing the children's nativity pageant. Every single one of them down for the count with the flu. So the pageant? Yeah, that's canceled.
A few hours later, another call. And this one was a gut punch for the whole community. A beloved matriarch of the parish, a real pillar of the church, had died completely unexpectedly.
And the hits just kept on coming. It's getting close to service time, and he gets a couple of texts from two of his key volunteers, people who were supposed to read, to serve. Both of them had last-minute family things come up. They weren't coming.
And the grand finale? The cherry on top of this disaster Sunday? 10 minutes before the service is supposed to start, a key singer, a section leader in the choir, gets into a huge argument and just storms out. Gone. The whole thing was just a mess. So just try to imagine that for a second. Your church is an icebox, the pageant's off, your community is grieving a sudden loss, and your service is literally falling apart at the seams. What do you do? Well, as he told me this story, this whole litany of absurdity, he said his reaction was something I totally didn't expect. He smiled. Why on earth would he smile? Well, to understand that smile, we have to talk about something called the last gospel. It's a really powerful piece of scripture that was running through his head. Now, this passage isn't just any old text. It's the very beginning of the Gospel of John, and it's this incredibly profound, poetic piece of theology about the nature of existence itself, about creation, about life, and about the relationship between light and darkness.
And it's called the last gospel for two really important reasons. First, pretty straightforward, it was chronologically the last of the four main gospels to actually be written down. But second, and this is maybe the more important reason for our story, it was traditionally the very last thing a priest would say in a service. These were the final words meant to anchor everyone before they walked back out into the world.
So how does this all circle back to that pastor in a freezing church having the worst day ever? Let's look at how this all came together for him in that moment, standing at the altar with chaos all around him. So there he is. On one side, you have all this darkness, right? The freezing church, the canceled pageant, the death of a dear friend, volunteers bailing, conflict. I mean, it's enough to crush anyone's spirit. But in his mind, he was holding on to one single, solitary point of light. As he was standing there, he prayed that last gospel. And when he got to this one line, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it," that's when he smiled. He realized in that moment that this single, simple truth was way more powerful than all of that chaos combined. And that right there is where this story becomes more than just a story about one guy's bad day, his terrible Christmas Eve. It's really a microcosm, right? A little miniature version of the kinds of struggles that we all face in our own lives. I mean, we all run into our own kinds of darkness, don't we? Sometimes it's the big stuff, the things we see on the news. Political turmoil, economic stress, and sometimes it's the deeply personal stuff, a scary health diagnosis, a relationship that's broken, or just the gnawing uncertainty of change. It's all part of being human.
Let me put it this way. Imagine this room is plunged into total darkness. I mean, you can't see your hand in front of your face dark. Now, what happens if we light just 2 small candles? Does the overwhelming darkness just snuff them out? No way. The darkness can't overcome even a tiny speck of light. In fact, those 2 little flames push back the dark and light up the whole space.
And this isn't just a nice idea, it's a fundamental law of nature. Think about it. We head into the deep darkness of winter every year, but we know that the light is coming back. It's a physical law of our world. Darkness increases for a while, but then it has to give way to the light. And this brings us right to the core takeaway of this entire story, this enduring, unchanging truth about the nature of reality, and the simple persistence of hope.
This is such an ancient idea. You can find it in wisdom traditions all over the world. The Psalms put it beautifully. Darkness and weeping might feel like they last all night, but joy comes in the morning.
So that's the fundamental truth. It doesn't matter what the darkness is, whether it's a freezing church on Christmas Eve or a major crisis in your own life. It cannot, it does not, and it will never, ever truly overcome the light. That is the hope we can hold on to. Light persists.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own life, at the world around you, with all its messiness and challenges, where do you see that indestructible light? What is the light that, for you, the darkness cannot overcome?